Part 199. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1981. The person who said this was Zhao Dazuhu's wife, named Yang Jinhua. Her family was very lazy and she was not very popular in the Wanglu Brigade. She received the least amount of food every year because the Wanglu Brigade had been doing 3 jobs and 7 hours per person over the years. Point. Wang Quilin and Cheng Baoqiu had both heard about the fact that Zhao Dazuhu had fished in troubled waters and obtained the Lu family's property. At this time, they could also hear the bad intentions in Zhao Dazuhu's tone. Wang Quilin smiled lightly and said, "The couple are young. What are you anxious about? Besides, they are all preparing to take the college entrance examination. Who will help take care of the child?" When Zibao was born, Ajiang was almost 30. Lu Zhang had Zibao not long after he married Zibao's mother. There has been no news from Guanyu and Jojo for several years. I think it must be Jojo who can't give birth. That delicate appearance can make a gust of wind, blown away. That's not what I said. Before Wang Quilin finished speaking, she heard the loudspeaker in the brigade office shouting, "Jojo, Jojo, Jojo from the Guanyu family, your admission notice has arrived. Come and get it quickly. Come and get it now." Jojo braked suddenly, turned around and returned to the brigade, heading straight to the brigade office. The capital is the hometown of her and her grandmother. When she took the college entrance examination, she did not hesitate to choose Capital Normal University. Guanyu enrolled in Capital University in order to study in the same place as his brother, sister-in-law, and wife. The moment he got the notice, Jojo cried with joy. Wang Dachun smiled and said, "Stop crying, tell your family to come and get the notice. Just in case, we all have to come and collect it in person, and sign it as evidence." As he spoke, he handed over a book with the signature and fingerprints of his eldest son Wang Chinkan on it. Jojo wiped his tears, signed his name neatly, dipped his fingerprints in cinnabar mud. "Thank you. Thank you. Don't delay me, I've sent a lot of admission notices this time." Wang Dachun waved her hand to tell her to go out, and then shouted to the radio, "Wang Huan, Wang Huan, Wang Huan from Wang Daji's family, your admission notice has arrived. Come and get it, come and get it. Mo Bai, Mo Bai, Mo Bai from Wang Lingzi's family, come and get it, come and get it. Bai Xiaolin, Bai Xiaolin, Bai Xiaolin, an educated youth from Shanghai, the admission notice from Shanghai University has arrived, come and get it, come and get it." And Xin Yushan from the capital, Chen Yuan, Xiehong, Liangqiudong. Counting the children of the Lu family, the Wanglu Brigade received a total of 35 admission notices today. They were probably sent by the post office. They were placed in a thick pile in front of Wang Dachun. Among them were some who were admitted to university. Some were admitted to normal universities, some were transferred to medical universities, and some were admitted to colleges and technical secondary schools. Some were in this province or even the city, and some were in other provinces. If you observe carefully, you will find that there are always only a few who are admitted to top universities. Counting the Lu family, there are a total of 6. Even so, it was enough to make every candidate who received the admission notice be ecstatic. When they saw brother Zibao, father Lu, and Cheng Baoqiu appearing at the door of the brigade, they immediately swarmed up, lifted Zibao up and threw it high, waiting when Zibao fell, they immediately caught it and then threw it up again. Zibao was not mentally prepared and screamed out in fright, feeling at a loss what to do. The onlookers laughed when they saw his embarrassment. He usually looked calm and polite, but now that his hat had fallen off, his scarf was loose, and his shoes had fallen off, he actually looked more childish. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1982. Father Lu was 2 steps behind and couldn't help but smile when he saw his grandson looking like this. Cheng Baoqiu had a bold temperament, patted his thigh and laughed. I really should buy a camera to take pictures of the scene in front of me and show it to Xiaoxiu and Ajiang. I'm afraid they'll never see each other again. When Zibao was thrown up again, he finally shouted, "Put me down quickly, I'm afraid of heights." Even if you are not afraid of heights, you must still be afraid of heights at this time. This word was something he heard his mother say accidentally, and he specifically asked what it meant to be afraid of heights. Hearing this new word, everyone's excitement calmed down a little, and they finally put him on the ground safely. Some people picked up his scarf and shoes that had fallen to the ground, and even helped him put them on. This made Zibao dumbfounded and unwilling to stretch his legs. "Everyone, please do well and let me do it myself. Zibao, we all want to thank you and your mother. Why didn't you come back after the exam? If the notice hadn't been sent, would you still be living at your godfather's house?" "That's right, Zibao, we are where we are today thanks to you and your mother, so we should be grateful." "Zibao, I was admitted to Jinling University. Jinling University, do you know how happy I am? My destiny can change from now on, the difference between heaven and earth. If your mother hadn't asked us to review, I definitely wouldn't have. With the current results, 2 months is really too short. It is so short that many people cannot fully understand the review materials. My elder brother and younger brother who are staying in the city did not even pass the primary election of the local organization, let alone I passed the college entrance examination, haha." Zibao recognized the female educated youth who spoke. Her name was Ni Hong. She came to the countryside the year before last and was from Shanghai. Her relationship with her family was not very good. It was said that after graduating from high school, she originally applied for a job in a silk reeling factory, but was rejected. Her family found connections to get her younger brother the job, and at the same time gave her a name to go to the mountains and countryside. When he first arrived at Wanglu Brigade, Ni Hong couldn't adapt to the life here and couldn't do farm work. He adapted for a long time with the help of Jojo and Bai Xiaolin. He was considered a hard-working educated youth and was very popular. Ni Hong had tears in her eyes. "I'm really grateful to your mother, she gave me hope." Zibao said seriously, "You're welcome, Sister Ni Hong. What you have today is the result of your hard work. If you get my mother's reminder but don't study hard, you will never be admitted to college." Wang Zhenqiu came over on crutches and said, "Don't make trouble with Zibao. Today we will kill pigs and sheep. Let's have a big banquet tonight." "What kind of banquet?" Zibao blurted out. Wang Zhenqiu smiled and narrowed his eyes. "There are 150 students in our brigade who have passed the preliminary election, and there are more than 50 students who have received the notification. We will hold a banquet tonight to celebrate the students who have received the notification. It is also let the candidates who have passed the preliminary selection before receiving the notification feel happy and strive to get the notification as soon as possible and enter the university." After hearing this, everyone said yes with a roar, clapped their hands and praised. Okay, we have to have a big party. If we hold a big banquet, we will hold a big banquet. We won't hold it. People outside say that we are stingy and don't pay attention to college students. Anyway, the control is not strict now, let's do what we have to do. The entire Wanglu Brigade was filled with joy. You must know that except for dozens of educated youths, the rest were local children in the Wanglu Brigade, accounting for more than half of the entire brigade. Who would be unhappy? Wang Zhenqiu's words about his old man digging into his pocket were drowned out by a flurry of chatter, and they rushed to the breeding farm. Some went home to get pots, pans, tables, chairs, vegetables and food, ready to do their part. From the perspective of outsiders, it is really more lively than the Chinese New Year. These days are really full of arrangements, and I really can't squeeze out a little time. Today is even more so. Wait for tomorrow. Ah no, there are arrangements for tomorrow. God no, the day after tomorrow, someone will come from my husband's family to pick up relatives, and there will be people there the day after tomorrow. Treat me, I will update more the day after tomorrow. If I have time tomorrow, I will try my best to update more. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1983. No one wants to let Wang Zhenqiu pay alone. Except for a few stingy people who are reluctant to part with it, most people want the college students who are leaving here to think about the benefits of this place and themselves, so they will naturally do their best to hold this college entrance banquet. How can Wang Zhenqiu be allowed to be more beautiful than before? They all contributed the chicken, fish, meat, and eggs that should be distributed to them at the end of the year, and added fresh and dried vegetables and grain from each household. Everyone gathered firewood and the flames were high. From the time Wang Zhenqiu opened his mouth to the time 8 large bowls of chicken, fish, meat, and eggs were served, it only took a short 5 hours, and the sky was not dark. This is very surprising. After all, the big elbow cannot be stewed thoroughly in just a few hours, and it takes time to kill pigs and sheep, prepare pots and pans, and process ingredients. Even oil, salt, sauce, and vinegar are required. In addition, each household does not have such a large amount of purchases, so it is difficult to do it overnight. But they did it. The big dishes were all cooked well, and the dishes were particularly rich. Rough and bold, just like the temperament of the local people. The 8 large bowls are stewed whole chicken, braised pork elbow, sweet and sour carp, tiger skin eggs, large meatballs, braised pork, duck soup with dried bamboo shoots and braised mutton. There are even more side dishes, such as cold peanuts, white-cut salted duck eggs, 9-turn fat sausage, stir-fried haggis, stir-fried pork belly with dry pepper, braised vermicelli with cabbage, stir-fried bacon with garlic sprouts, etc. There are 24 dishes on the table, which is unprecedentedly rich. You know, since the founding of the People's Republic of China, it has been considered lavish for anyone to have 8 large bowls for weddings. What's more, among the 24 dishes, there were very few vegetarian dishes, and everyone's mouths were filled with oil. Father Lu thought that he would go to the capital with his grandson soon, so he took out the few jars of sorghum wine that Feng Qingxiu had left for him in the cellar when he came back, transformed them into loose wine and sent them to the banquet, which stirred up the already heated atmosphere. An orgasm. Wang Zhenqiu didn't drink much. He was old and no one dared to persuade him to drink for fear of falling and bumping into him when he was drunk. So, Wang Zhenqiu stood up, holding a bowl of wine that had not been drunk from beginning to end. When he raised his hand, the noise in the audience disappeared and there was silence. I am here to say something from my heart, about this year's college entrance examination. Although the solar calendar has entered the 78th year, the lunar calendar has not yet celebrated the new year. When it comes to the college entrance examination, everyone still talks about this year. Wang Zhenqiu paused and continued, our team reviewed and prepared in advance, and finally achieved gratifying results in this college entrance examination. More than 200 people participated, and more than 150 people passed. When you go to take the physical examination, our captain has received praise from above. I don't know how proud he is. He has retired, and now his eldest son Wang Dachun is the brigade party secretary and captain. Hearing this, everyone smiled knowingly. Who wouldn't be proud? There are more than 100 college students, some of whom have been admitted to Capital University. You are very lucky to be able to participate in this college entrance examination, which has been suspended for 10 years and has been revived. In time, your efforts will make you realize that you are the proud ones of this era. When you walk out of here, We old people only hope that you will study hard and graduate. In the future, you will contribute to the construction of the motherland and create your own career. Those who passed the exam, continue to work hard. Those who did not pass the exam this year, calm down, study hard, and fight again next year. At this point, Wang Zhenqiu, who received a round of applause from everyone, turned serious. There is one more important thing that I must make clear to everyone. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1984. Seeing how serious Wang Zhenqiu was, everyone immediately listened attentively and took a very serious attitude. This seriousness stems from their respect for Wang Zhenqiu. Wang Zhenqiu glanced at the tables of educated youths present, and said slowly, "You educated youths who went to the mountains and countryside obeyed the national policy and came to our rural areas to support construction and play your part. It has been almost 10 years, and some of you are full of enthusiasm. Some are unwilling to do so, but no matter what, you all take root here." Hearing these words, the educated youths had mixed feelings, whether they were those who had always insisted on being unmarried, or those who were married for the sake of living. Indeed, as Wang Zhenqiu said, they may have been full of enthusiasm at the beginning. However, with the various inconveniences in the countryside, their enthusiasm gradually faded. That is to say, the life of the Wanglu Brigade was good, with no shortage of food and clothing, and they could have food every year. Meat, most of them held on to the money given to educated youths by the state, so that they did not let themselves have regrets. However, this does not include those who are forced to go to the countryside, nor does it include those who think they are city dwellers and look down on the countryside. Even if they eat better than those in the city, it will not alleviate their desire to return to the city. Wang Zhenqiu saw the expressions of all the educated youths in his eyes, sighed in his heart, and said, "You may not like what I say next, but I still have to say it, because it concerns the lives of many children in our brigade. Chen Yuan has always been the big brother of the educated youth." He said loudly, "Captain, we all listen. Without the tolerance of you and the fellow villagers, we would not be where we are now. Yes, Captain, my parents said that I fell into a nest of blessings when I went to the mountains and countryside. Not only did I not endure hardship, but I also lived more comfortably than them." The speaker was Bai Xiaolin, who came from Shanghai and had a good family background. However, no matter how good they were, they still had to live a careful life in the city, especially the educated youths in the same group as her who were assigned to other places and lived a life that was inhumane. According to her investigation, she found that it was considered a good idea for rural cotters to intercept the letters and packages of educated youths. Some cotters took pleasure in molesting female educated youths. Of course, there were also educated youths who took the initiative to support them in order to make a living. Thinking that this kind of thing might happen to him, Bai Xiaolin trembled all over and was once again grateful that he was assigned to the Wanglu Brigade. Wang Zhenqiu nodded at them, "I won't say anything about you who are not married. You were alone when you came, and you had no worries when you left. The Wanglu Brigade is an experience for you. I mainly want to say something to the married educated youths. From the heart." Upon hearing these words, some of the faces of the married educated youth changed color, while the faces of the men and women married to the educated youth showed a hint of joy. Those who have some brains among them are worried that their educated youth friends will never come back, but they have to support them in the college entrance examination, fearing that they will resent them in the future. It's great to have a brigade leader banging married educated youth now. Wang Zhenqiu put the wine bowl on the table. He was tired from carrying it, and then he said, "When you married educated youths, I analyzed the pros and cons with you, and later insisted that you get your marriage certificate. If you don't have one, get a replacement. Because I am afraid that one day the educated youth will return to the city and never come back. There are many people who regard going to the mountains and countryside as a life experience, but there are also many people who regard it as a shame. Cheng Baokyo laughed and said, "What are you talking about? Some of the educated youths looked ugly." Wang Zhenqiu ignored him, but solemnly said to the married educated youth, "I only hope that while you are prospering, you will not forget your revolutionary companions who share the joys and sorrows with you, and do not abandon your wife or children or abandon your husband and children." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1985. This sentence struck a chord in the secret thoughts of some educated youths. While their expressions changed drastically, the fellow villagers present became noisy and spoke one after another. "What? They want to leave? No way. When you don't want to work or you can't earn work points, you marry a young man like us and live a real life. Now that you are rich, you want to leave your wife and children or your husband and children. How can there be such a beautiful thing? That's right, Captain, you have to take care of this matter. We can't let the children of our brigade who married educated youths get separated. Captain, please speak." Wang Zhenqiu raised his hand to suppress their discussion and said seriously, "Although I am no longer in office, most of the educated youth came here when I was in office. I must take care of this matter." After hearing these words, everyone felt relieved. They have an inexplicable confidence in Wang Zhenqiu. They always feel that he can solve any problem in his hands. The most important thing is that his niece, nephew, and son-in-law are all very powerful. Wang Zhenqiu sighed. When he heard his niece talk about the sequelae caused by the educated youth returning to the city, he didn't sleep well for several days. Later, he and Lu's father discussed it for a long time, but it was difficult to be perfect because people's hearts are the hardest to predict. To put it bluntly, when you first chose to get married, you should have considered all possibilities. There are many educated youths who are not married, like Chen Yuan, people like Ji Hong, Zheng Huiwei, Bai Xiaolin, etc. No matter how hard and tired they are, they still have no choice. If you choose to get married to reduce the burden of life, you should bear the current situation. You cannot treat your partner and children in the country as a burden to you when you have a good future. You must know that in the country, you are also a burden when we get married. Cheng Baokyo clapped his hands and praised, "You are right, people cannot be without conscience." He is a retired cadre and a veteran of the anti-Japanese war. Even if he retires, no one dares to underestimate him. His personal connections alone are better than 90% of the people in the country, so he is the only one who will not arouse resentment from others when he says this. With Cheng Baokyo's approval, Wang Zhenqiu became more confident in what he said next. "Our Wangla brigade is a collective. Even if we have had conflicts in private before, if others bully the children in the brigade, it is our entire brigade's business. This is not a threat, but I want you to know that no matter what your temper and character are, the children of the Wangla brigade have the support of our entire brigade. When you decide to abandon your wife or children, you must be protected by our Wangla brigade. Of course, if our children do something wrong, we will not cover them up. Not a threat, but a warning. Other brigades and abandoned rural men and women may swallow their anger, but Wangla brigade will not. Probably because the Wangla brigade has a high standard of living and has always been united, so both men and women, old and young, have strong personalities. The captain is right, I will kill anyone who bullies my children." That's right, people can't be ungrateful. We all got married voluntarily, without any coercion or inducement. In this case, you educated youths, don't act like you are wronged by marrying us rural people. Our brigade is living a prosperous life, and we can't find any kind of partner. Even the people in the city want to marry girls from our village, because we have a lot of food, unlike them who only have 20 or 30 kilograms a month, so we have to be careful to eat. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1986. The folks in the Wangla Brigade are not stupid. Wang Zhenqiu is good for them, so they naturally support him. Once they support him, they can say anything. Wang Zhenqiu pointed to the children sitting with their parents, the children of the educated youth. I am here for these children. The oldest of them is only 6 or 7 years old, and the youngest is still in the womb. Ask yourself, who can bear to let them lose their lives at such a young age? Father and mother? What's wrong with them? Their birth was not decided by them. Why should they bear the consequences of your educated youth parents abandoning them? I don't want these children in our brigade to go to the city to find their relatives. I don't want them to bear the strange eyes of the outside world at such a young age. Feng Qingxiu once analyzed all the consequences to him. What Wang Zhenqiu felt most distressed were these innocent children. Whether the children's parents are educated youths or locals, whether they are getting married or married, they should have the awareness to face today's situation when they choose to get married. The saying well matched is feudal dregs, but in marriage life, it still makes sense. The young men and women in the Wangla Brigade have never been worried about getting married. They chose to be educated youth themselves. When it comes to children, the faces of the villagers become serious. Looking at the innocent faces and pairs of pure eyes, some of them were well informed and knowledgeable. The old man felt a knot in his heart and didn't know what to say. Even if the Wangla Brigade takes the lead and supports the educated youth who abandoned their husbands and children or abandoned their wives and children, they may still face the situation of family fragmentation. Captain, what should we do? We can't let our children suffer. My grandson, I said at the beginning that it would be better to find a young man from the brigade. The stinky girl wanted to marry the educated youth she fell in love with. Now it's great. He has been admitted to college and has spread his wings to fly high. She is at home as a yellow-faced woman. I asked her to review together but she refused, saying it was unnecessary. If you don't listen to the old man's words, you will suffer a lot. What a sin! In my family's home, some educated youths returned to the city and never came back. It took a long time before a divorce letter was sent, and the wife and children were thrown away. The captain is really a good person. We need to talk about this matter carefully, and we can't let the children in our brigade suffer and be wronged. Captain, you have to make up your mind. Otherwise, we won't let the married educated youth leave. We'll see how they don't want wives and children or men and children. These words immediately caused the married educated youth's expression to change drastically. They looked at Wang Zhenqiu with fear, fearing that he would agree to deprive them of their food and household registration and not transfer them. Wang Zhenqiu laughed, "Don't you know that this is treating the symptoms rather than the root cause?" Jojo also said, "Uncle and Grandpa, please don't overturn the whole boat with one stroke. Although I am married, Guan Yu and I have no intention of separation. Among our married educated youths, there are also many educated youths who plan to stay forever for the sake of their children. If you don't believe me and have roots in the Wangla Brigade, just ask." Immediately, a weather-beaten female educated youth hugged her child and nodded, "I don't have any ability to study, so I have not planned to go back to the city for a long time. I live a more comfortable life here than in the city. I don't have to worry about food and clothing. I will train in the future, children study and go to college." There are also male educated youths who have been admitted to college expressing their determination. "Captain, you just worry about those who have different intentions. As for me, don't worry. I also want to get a good job after graduating from college and take my wife and children to the city to enjoy life. I think there will be updates today. Let's update these first. Get up at 5 o'clock and code on your phone." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1987. It's not that everyone has no conscience, and it's not that everyone is ignorant. For some educated youth, especially female educated youth, their children are their concern. Although Wanglu Brigade is indeed in a rural area, the living atmosphere is much better than that in the city, and it is more comfortable to get along with them. Just like Kui Kong, the male educated youth who spoke. He is the second eldest child in the family who is not valued. He has grandparents who love his eldest grandson, and a strict father and loving mother who loves his son. Both his elder brother and younger brother have plans for them, but no one cares about him. Finally chose to go to the countryside, came here to marry a wife and have children, and then lived a fulfilling life. He lives here in a spacious place, has plenty of food, a wife who cares about him, and children who support him. He was able to go to college thanks to his family's support. Even if he is asked to become a god, he is not willing to do so. Wang Zhenqiu sighed, "If everyone were like you, I wouldn't have to worry. It's a pity that people's hearts are unpredictable. There are those who are grateful and there are those who are ungrateful." Then, he added, "It is not advisable to forcefully keep the grain household registration relationship of the educated youth who are enrolled in school. Don't mention it again in the future. Why bother to have a bad future? I only hope that the married educated youths, you need to remember that the quality of your character is often related to your life, and your lifestyle is very important. Even if you try your best to conceal the past, the history will not be as clear as a dragonfly. You are so old. Everyone has his own life. Don't work too hard." Chen Baoqiu poured a bowl of wine for Lu's father and called Wang Zhenqiu to come and eat quickly. "It's cold. If you don't eat, the food will get cold." Wen Ruyu took a sip of wine and said lazily, "Good or bad fate is determined by personality. Even if you are compassionate and hope that all the children in the brigade will go well, things may not develop as you wish." Wang Zhenqiu then stopped and sat down. The entrance banquet ended at 8 or 9 o'clock, but everyone was still thinking about it when they fell asleep. Jojo saw Zheng Hui's gloomy expression, and immediately realized that she, like Wang Qingcan, felt that the workers, peasants, and soldiers' university was not as good as those who had passed the college entrance examination. "I heard from my aunt that as long as the university starts classes, sooner or later you can take the postgraduate entrance examination, because she has this plan." Jojo did not comment on the advantages and disadvantages of the workers, peasants, and soldiers' university and the formal university. Although the former does not have as much weight as the latter, many educated youth are still willing to choose the former to leave the countryside, and those who have chosen will not regret it. After all, no one expected that the college entrance examination would come one day. Zheng Hui was surprised and happy, seriously. In fact, she doesn't regret going to the workers, peasants, and soldiers' university. Compared with the educated youth who went to the countryside at the same time as herself and are still working in the countryside, she went to university and came back to teach, but it was much easier and she also had a fixed salary. Jojo smiled faintly, "You still don't believe what my aunt said? If you don't believe me, ask Zibao. That's not necessary. But if I have you, I will continue to study. When the university recruits graduate students, I will take the exam. I can't let my academic qualifications stop at that of worker, peasant, and soldier students. Then it depends on your efforts. I won't talk to you anymore. It's time for us to pack our bags and get ready to go to the capital. Zibao is more anxious than us." Zibao was indeed eager to return home, so he started packing his things the next day, sending what needed to be sent, keeping what needed to be kept, and handling household registration and food relations. The same is true for Lu Tianzi. Even Guan Yu and Jojo had to take Jojo's grandmother with them to school, which made it even more troublesome to clean up. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1988. In late January, it snowed lightly. Father Lu took Zibao and took care of everything. The remaining food and vegetables at home were left to the old man and the old lady. He just had to send a telegram to Luzhang and Feng Qingxiu before boarding the train. His old man suddenly received a piece of vindication document from Huihei City. Along with it were the Lu family's property returned to him by the state. Because the gold and silver that had been handed over to the state had been melted down for foreign exchange, and some jewelry, objects, and handicrafts were also lost, so he was compensated with another 100,000 yuan. Passbook opened in name. It was brought by Zhao Anbang, a whole tractor compartment. Wang Fengqiao and Ansu whispered, "It's a pity. How many things were taken away from the Lu family, 10 more carts won't be much." So many, Ansu didn't even know that the Lu family was so wealthy. Not a landowner? She thinks. Wang Fengqiao looked regretful and shook her head silently. She had lived in the Lu family when she was a child, so of course she knew about Lu's situation, but she had also guessed that the Lu family must have something hidden secretly. After all, they were in a war-torn time, and they had not escaped air raids, and they had all the good stuff. If it is not left outside, it will only stabilize after the founding of the People's Republic of China. Father Lu didn't feel it was a pity to lose things that could not be returned. For him now, gold, silver and jewelry were the least valuable, and he had a lot of them hidden at home. What made him happy were the books, calligraphy, and paintings and some old items he had returned. Furniture, old porcelain furnishings and the like. Of course, there aren't many of them that are valuable, because the most valuable ones are all in Feng Qingxiu's space. These things have been backlogged in the warehouse of the Cultural Relics Department since they were handed over to us. Although they have been damaged to varying degrees due to their age, they are not much missing. They are all registered, Zhao Anbang said to Lu's father. Father Lu nodded, "It's already very good. I didn't even expect that I would get what I had lost in my life. These are an unexpected surprise." Zhao Anbang held his hand with one hand and shook it. "Uncle, you are a red landlord. Even the old leader said so. The country has wronged you. I hereby apologize. Whatever you said, what you said about not apologizing, I didn't endure any hardships, I got through it all." He said this, it was because he got through it, and his family is prosperous. For those who didn't get through it, saying this has long been meaningless. Zhao Anbang actually understands, but he still has to do what needs to be done. "Uncle, your family has a big yard in the city, right? Now the country also decides to return the property to its original owner. I have asked the residents living there to move out, the Housing Management Bureau also re-registered the name in your name. This is the house deed, keep it with the passbook." Father Lu was not polite and handed it to Zibao. "Let your mother keep it." Zibao said, "Oh." Zhao Anbang turned to Uncle Su and Aunt Su and said, "After receiving the documents from above, our municipal party committee cadres are comprehensively handling the redress of the city's vindication matters. You too, please wait, it will be your turn soon." When Uncle Su and Aunt Su heard this, they were stunned for a moment. After they came to their senses, the two elders suddenly cried with joy and trembled with excitement. Really, Aunt Su couldn't believe that good things happened so quickly. "It's true. We are already counting the Su family's belongings so that they can be compensated." Zhao Anbang nodded and said gently, "Rectifying the chaos is being carried out across the country. Please relax, your reputation will be restored sooner or later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1989. This is probably the best news for the old men and women who have been decentralized. Wen Ruyu, Jin Ruoku and other old men have been organizing materials to write complaint reports recently. Don't they just want to restore their reputation as soon as possible? Go home early? Wang Mo and He Qingyan naturally followed the teacher and also applied for a report to restore their reputation. The remaining old men and women from Huihe City who were transferred here hurriedly asked Zhao and Bang, "What about us? We also want to restore our reputation as soon as possible and return to our homes as soon as possible. We don't dislike the bad things here, but here after all, it's not our home, and we don't want to bear the name of a bad element until we die." Yes, yes, the Guan family, there are still people in the Guan family, Guan Cheng and Guan Yu are all alive. Comrade Zhao, don't forget to rehabilitate their grandfather and father, in addition to her own family, and Su also worries about other things. Guan Jia said, after so many years, the two children have never been able to call themselves descendants of the Guan family openly. I know this is also a knot in Guan Cheng's heart. You must take it to heart. Zhao Anbang consoled him, don't worry, I have full authority to handle the local cases in Huihe City and implement them as soon as possible to try to get you redressed as soon as possible. I can't do anything for you from other places, but I will help you send the complaint materials to your original place of residence. This is the time to celebrate. Wen Ruya clapped her hands and laughed. The old man has been open-minded all his life, and he is still like a child when he is over 80. Jin Ruoku and Wen Ruya got to know each other day and night, and they knew him best. The two old people had made plans to live together after returning to the capital and spend the rest of their lives together. After hearing Wen Ruyu's words, Jin Ruoku smiled and said, "How can we not celebrate? This is not the case. Are Zibao and his grandpa going to the capital? Let's have a good meal to practice and celebrate." "This is a good idea, let's celebrate tonight," Wen Ruyu praised. The teacher's words may cause the disciples' legs to break. Even though Wang Mo and He Qingyan were very old, they still had to stay close to their teacher. Fortunately, they have had enough food and clothing over the years, and all the elderly are in good health. Young people such as Lu Tianzi, the Zibao brothers, and the Guan Yu couple helped wash, cut, stir-fry, and stew. 2 tables of meals were quickly prepared, leaving Zhao and Bang alone. "Come down. Wang Zhenqiu is also here. Not to mention his kindness to the elderly over the years, just because of his connections with the Lu family, he also has a seat." After learning that Lu's father had been rehabilitated, several elders from the Lu family came to express their thanks and were also left behind. In any case, Father Lu's branch is the eldest member of the Lu family. If they are good, the entire Lu family will prosper. No one can forget the days when the Lu family was in trouble. Wang Fengqiao also came to help with cooking, but Miao Fengqin did not. She hid at home, thinking about the gold and silver jewelry she had obtained by fishing in troubled waters, and wondered if the Lu family would find out. There were many people who did this at the beginning, and she didn't know why she got so obsessed with it. She was probably a little jealous of Lu Jiang's mother, and she also had a mentality that not only she had taken it, but others had also taken it. The idea that something that falls into the hands of others is not as beneficial as falling into one's own hands. She was more afraid of Wang Zhenqiu knowing about it than what the Lu family thought. Wang Zhenqiu was a compassionate and upright person. He had never forgotten the great kindness the Lu family had shown him. He was willing to be the village chief, brigade secretary, and brigade captain, just to facilitate the protection of the Lu family. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1990. If he knew about it, he would have to make trouble with himself. Hide it, you must hide it. Anyway, they were all lost by Jiao Xiao, and I can't find them back. No big deal, no big deal, no big deal, I'll make it up to them somewhere else in the future. Miao Fengqin, who was already covered with silver hair, gritted her teeth. So many years have passed and she didn't mention it. Who knows about it? Even if heaven knew and earth knew, he still couldn't tell Wang Zhenqiu. With this in mind, before the Lu family set off, Miao Fengqin prepared a lot of things for them to eat on the train. She used all the food containers at home, such as lunch boxes, cans, and malted milk bottles. Such as, it's freezing and snowy outside, and the temperature gets lower as you go north, so any food won't go bad for a while. My uncle and grandma have prepared too much food for us. I can't refuse it no matter what. Grandpa, Grandma, eat quickly. When it was time to eat, Zibao first bought hot soup for his grandfather and Chengbaokyo and his wife to take with them. Pancakes, cooked eggs and cooked meats. The cooked meat is braised pig offal. Miao Fengqin probably bought it specially from her son-in-law. Almost the whole set is here. The pig liver and lungs were cut into slices, the large intestine was cut into segments, the braised pig trotters were divided into pieces, and the pig tail, pig head meat, and pig ears were also mixed into a fragrant mixture. There was a lot of sesame oil in it. As soon as I opened the lunch box, a strong smell of the aroma overwhelmed the odor in the sleeper car. Cheng Baokyo loves to eat pork head meat. Even though Feng Qingxiu said that eating too much meat is bad for the body, he still remains the same. He took a few chopsticks and mixed the pig head meat into the noodles and ate it quickly. While eating, he did not forget to let his old wife and father Lu know. Eat, it won't taste good when it's cold. Hurry up. Let's take a good rest after eating. It will take a long time to get to the capital. I'll give some to Brother Tianzi and Brother Guanyu first. Zibao picked up the lunch box filled with various kinds of braised pork and walked out. The four of them bought tickets for the same sleeper car. Lu Tianzi, Guanyu, his wife, and Grandma Zhou were in the box next door. When Zibao arrived, Jojo was feeding her grandmother mushy noodles. It is said that there is no filial son in bed for a long time, but a few years have passed. Guanyu and Jojo have always taken good care of Grandma Zhou. Lu Tianzi took it in his hand and warned, if anything happens, just scream, we will definitely hear you. I know, Zibao understood very well. At that time, the safety on the bus was very good. They finished eating the food they brought on the bus and arrived at their destination. Lu Zhang had long received the telegram from his family. He happened to be on vacation and met him at the train station on time. He heard that he had brought a lot of things to Beijing. In addition to 2 cars, he specially borrowed a military truck from the army. Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still shocked by what they shipped. It's like a hill, it really has everything, and it has a musty smell. Father Lu coughed and said with a straight face, this is what the country returned to our family. I thought about it, you will either settle in the capital or work somewhere else. Anyway, you won't go back to your hometown, although it's not too big. It was very valuable, but I didn't feel comfortable leaving it in my hometown, so I took it all with me. Fortunately, Anbang helped us and checked it in by train. Lu Zhang expressed his understanding and quickly led the guards who followed him to carry the things into the car one by one. The furniture was basically disassembled for easy shipping. The porcelain furnishings and other items were packed in wooden boxes and sealed tightly. Books, calligraphy, and paintings were easier to pack, so it took only a few trips to load them all.